It's that time, y'all. Time for Big Boys Boxing.
If you think I'm a pussy, I'm a punk, you tell me right now. Because listen, I am the baddest nigga you ever fucking meet.
So that'll give a bit of energy.
Yeah.
It's good night. It is all over in the 11th round.
What's going on, team? Welcome back to Big Boys Boxing for another chilled Monday morning wrap up of the weekend and a chat about what's possibly to come. So, over the weekend we had an upset in the cruiserweight division. Well, somewhat of an upset for some. And we also had Joe the Juggernaut Joyce dealing to Christian Hammer in 4 rounds. But before we get into it, I shall go and get into the Discord channel. I am in and post a link for anybody who may like to join. There we go, there's the link, and we'll pin that to the top so it doesn't get lost. So as you can see, a bit of a new look with the stream overlay today. Hopefully I've got it all up and running properly. So yeah, Joe Joyce does his thing, takes a few shots. Christian Hammer landed a few good overhand rights. It was money, but he was taking too much volume. He couldn't handle the pace. He came in heavier than Joe Joyce. I mean, he looked like he was coming straight off the couch. But credit to Christian Hammer. This time, he didn't just come to shell up and try not to get knocked out, which we've seen him do many times. He did try and fight and he did land some shots. But Joe Joyce, I don't know how long he's going to be able to get away with blocking these punches with his face, man. Not at elite level anyway. And let's face it, Christian Hammer was not elite level. He gets a bit of a pass though, does Joe Joyce, because he's coming off a layoff of over 12 months. He had a busted wrist. And he gets a pass for a bit of a comeback. Just give me a sec here. I'm just trying to look something up. Look up that card, see what else was on it. I did watch a couple of other fights, but they weren't very important to me, so I forget about them very easily. Joe Joyce box rec. So he moves to 14-0. Dude's getting a bit long on the tooth, but doesn't seem to be showing any wear and tear just yet. Yeah, so the co-main event was Jason Cunningham. He got a knockout win in the 4th round. It was a pretty decent performance. He lost against Zolani Tete. Got spectacularly knocked out. He did try. He was doing okay for the first couple of rounds, but as soon as he got hurt, Tete was on him like flies on shit and knocked him out cold. Mark Chamberlain was the other one I was interested in. Watched that fight. He was 10-0. He gets a unanimous decision win over Mark Vidal, the Spanish fighter. Nicky Burke also gets a win, points decision over 6, and that was pretty much all worth mentioning on that card. There was supposed to be Callum Johnson on that card, and there was someone else who was supposed to be on that card as well that didn't end up eventuating, so a couple of fights short Was a little disappointed I didn't get to see Callum Johnson. Haven't seen him in a while. Let me just quickly do a sound check here. Couple of fights. Yeah, it's working. So it is what it is. But the big news was Myris Breedis took a decision loss to Jai Opetaia. And Jai Opetaia is now the new IBF Cruiserweight Champion. Now, myself, I had thought, yeah, Breedis should get past him, but then I kept looking at Breedis' age at 37 and some of the comments about Jai Opetaia being a second thought because he really wanted the Jake Paul fight. Older fighter looking for paydays at the end of his career kind of raises questions for me, but particularly against somebody who's as sharp as Jai Opetaia. Now, most people picked Opetaia to lose this basically because they didn't know who he was. He's been fighting out of Australia, hasn't really travelled as a pro, but if you look into his amateur pedigree, he was a amateur youth world champion. He did go to the Olympics. He's got some quality behind him. He just hasn't had the opportunities outside of his home country. I've watched him a few times and I knew very well that he's got very fast hands, good punch selection, good feet. He seemed to have an okay chin, but as a pro, we hadn't really seen him facing anybody that can punch. So I had questions over how much power he had and how much of a chin he had. But this boy, I tell you, he's got a hell of a chin. It got busted in two places. He had one side of his jaw cracked in the second round with a big uppercut from Breedis, but he kept on boxing. In that same round, Myris Breedis got his nose broken with a counter right uppercut from Jai Opetaia. So they both did some damage in that first round, but I think it was the first 6 rounds, I scored all to Jordan Opetaia. Maybe there was one in there that I gave to Breedis, I can't remember. Might have been the 3rd round. Breedis tried to come on a bit, but it was a close round, could have gone either way. In the 7th round, Breedis tried to come on a bit more and he landed a few more shots, so I gave Breedis the 2nd round as well. No, I didn't give him the 7th. I think Opetaia still won the 7th round, but it was also a very close round. Breedis did start coming on and the rounds were getting more competitive in the second half, but in the 10th round, Opetaia took a big shot, got staggered, had to hang on for dear life for a little bit there, and you could see when he came out for the 11th round he still wasn't quite there, and Breedis kept going to town, kept landing some big overhand rights, some right uppercuts, and one big uppercut in the 11th round snapped the other side of Opetaia's jaw, basically snapping it right off on both sides, so his mouth was hanging open, he couldn't move it, and he was fighting to survive. He made it out of the 11th. It was in real trouble at the end of the 12th, but he managed to get out of there. 2 judges scored it 116-112. That was the scorecard I had. I gave Breedis the 11th and the 12th. I think might have been the 9th and the 7th, maybe. I think something like that. And one judge scored it 115-113. So I thought the judges' scorecards were extremely fair, very well done by the judges in Australia, but as per usual in a title fight, they weren't Australian judges. I think there was 2 from America and 1 from Japan, and they had an American referee. You know, people have been saying for a long time, if you go to Australia, you're already 3 rounds down. And this all comes from the Jeff Horn Manny Pacquiao fight, in which, incidentally, they had no Australian officials there either. So I hate this narrative that if you go to Australia, you're already 4 rounds down. It's horse shit. And we've also seen evidence from George Kambosos and Devin Haney. Actually, I think there was one score in there that was a bit dodgy. They gave Kambosos more rounds. I thought Kambosos lost every single round of that fight. At best, you could give him 1 round. But you know, I think the scorecards have been pretty fair in Australia of late. So I think this narrative of bullshit cards in Australia has got to stop. It's horse shit. We also had some other fights on that card that were pretty interesting as well. But anyways, Jordan Opetaia, congratulations. He's got his break. Where he goes to next, maybe I'll get into that later in the stream. Also on the card, we had Joel Camilleri, a bit of a journeyman type guy, taking on Cohen, how do I say this? Mazudia, that's it. I actually had this guy in my multi-bet. I had Cohen Mazudia on points. I had Jordan Opetaia on points. Then I had Joe Joyce in under 6.5 rounds. It was a $5 bet and it paid $105, so I did well this weekend. Yeah, they gave a split decision here on this one. This was dodgy scoring. They did it with a few of the fights, actually. Called them split decisions when they were nowhere near split decisions. This Cohen Mazudia won all but maybe 2 rounds out of the 10, and they ended up somehow giving a split decision win to Cohen Mazudia, but it was what it was. It was a fairly entertaining fight. Joel Camilleri works well on the inside, but he was getting his head boxed off from the outside pretty much. This other one here, I had Ferris Cavalier in my long multi with the safe bets. He was paying $1.14, so he was a big favourite to beat Connor Wallace. But Connor Wallace put on the performance of his life. He hadn't really fought anybody up until this fight, and the commentators on there were the classy Ferris Cavalier. You know, he seemed like one of those guys who liked to evade and counter shot, but he was not evading. He was getting his head jabbed off and the straight left coming down the pipe from Connor Wallace all night. This was another one they called a split decision win. It was bullshit. Connor Wallace won at least 8 rounds, I reckon. 8 rounds in that fight. Let me have a look at their scorecards. I had it like 8-2, maybe 7-3 at best. Ferris Cavalier, or Chevalier as they call him, did try and fight a lot harder in the second half of the fight. He needed to do it earlier, but he didn't. So he paid the price, and they've got no scores in here for that fight. So I can't tell you which judge was the idiot who scored it close the other way to Ferris Chevalier. Isaac Hardman, knockout of the year, man. That was a mean first round knockout. This other guy, Bo Hartas, apparently these guys were getting on well during the week. Both Hardmen, and Isaac Hardman is leaps and bounds above anybody else at middleweight in Australia, so it's hard for him to get a fight locally. This guy, Bo Hartas, I think he came up a weight actually, and he hasn't been active. Just let me have a quick look here. Oh no, he's been fighting at middleweight, 159, 161 catchweight, 160. No, he's a legit middleweight, Bo Hartas. And the first few seconds of the fight, I thought, oh shit, we've got a bit of a fight on here, because Hartas was pumping a stiff jab to the body, stepping into a jab, throwing straight rights to the body, throwing solid 1-2s. He was landing. But Isaac Hardman landed a straight 1-2 prior to the knockout. And you see that stumbled Hartas a little bit. And then Hartas tried to throw a 1-2 at the same time as Hardman. The two from Hardman beat him to the punch and knocked him out cold. He was on his face. There was quite a bit of worry for him for a little while, but he did get up and he was okay. But if you can catch a replay of that somewhere, it's definitely worth a look. It's the first round stoppage, and basically the best, cleanest knockout I've seen of the year so far, I think. It was brilliant. So Isaac Hardman moves on to bigger and better things. I think he's ranked, I'm not going to go bother looking it up because it's middleweight and I'm not really that interested, but we'll see where Isaac Hardman goes. He's got a loss on his record. I can't remember, was it Wade Ryan that beat him? Let's have a look. He got knocked out in the second round by Michael Zarafa. Okay. This is that same fight I'd forgotten about. I did see it. So it's interesting, but he's come back from that knockout loss straight away into this one and got a first round knockout. So we'll see where Isaac Hardman goes. But that's what it is. Alright, there was another one here. Tyler Robinson, was that a girls one? TKO on the 10th. Oh yeah, that's right, I remember watching this. Yeah, Tyler Robinson. Was a girls fight. It was a youth world championship fight actually, I think. This Jocelyn Fernandez, she was trying her best, but she was way out of her depth. I'm surprised they didn't stop the fight earlier, to be honest. She was just eating right hands like Weet Bix. This Tyler Robinson looks pretty sharp for a chickie, so good on her. Dan Colwell was another fight on there. I watched this whole card. We had a fight party over on Discord. It was pretty good. Dan Colwell's 7-2, got a knockout win in the 4th round of 8 against Lorenz Ladrado. Ladrado. Don't know the dude. Can't actually remember watching that one too closely. What was the other one? Mike Zalewski. No, I didn't watch that one. That was before the broadcast, I think. Actually, I did see David Naika. It was the very first round fight of the broadcast. I watched that before I went and did some other stuff while a couple of other fights were on. He got a 2nd round knockout over this guy Lewis Masters, and he was 1-2, so it's pretty much another padding fight for David Naika. He's I think he's only 4-0 now. Yeah, he's 4-0 now, with 3 knockouts. So he's moving on up. He's in the cruiserweight division at present. He had been doing some training over with Joseph Parker and Andy Lee for some time, but I think he's back home now, working on what he can do. I think he may even be searching for a solid promoter at this point. So we'll see what happens. Alright, I'm over to the chat. I've got Phil Carl Roberts in the house. Good to see you in, bro. Yeah, man, I had one good bet this weekend. My one that was supposed to be safe crapped out with that Ferris Chevalier guy who was supposed to win. If he had come through, I would have had a nice little I think it was like $45 win. It's like a 8-leg multi, but that one failed, and the short multi came through with the Opataya decision. That Cohen Mazudia and Joe Joyce in under 6.5. That one paid out nicely, so I was pretty happy. And then there was no boxing on for the afternoon, so I went and had a little stab with the UFC. Don't know too much about it, but our boy Israel Adesanya was fighting. I took a 7-leg multi, and that one paid off as well. So it was another 40 odd bucks to add to the weekend's tally. It was good because last weekend I lost $20. It's a rarity that I lose money, but made it back, so I'm happy. So yeah, moving on to next. Well, I guess Jordan Opataya. The boy has options now. I'm sure Lawrence Okoli will be pretty pissed off that Maurice Breedis lost. He's wanted that fight for a while. He was hoping to get it, but he ain't gonna get it. Well, he could take it now, but what's the point? What's the point? Everyone's gonna be saying he's 37 years old. He's toast, right? That's what they're all gonna be saying. So, is he going to try and get the Jordan Opataya fight? Possibly. But either way, Jordan's going to be out for possibly 12 months with his jaw being snapped off on both sides. It's going to take quite some time to heal. And I'm sure there's going to be some promoters wanting to get hold of him. But Dean Lonergan from DNL Promotions, formerly known as Duco, is not going to want to let him go. It'll have to be a co-promotion deal, and I think Jai will be pretty loyal to Dean, having had him as a promoter for some time and got him to where he needed to be. So I'm just going to look up the rankings. I know there's that Don Kent guy who's a cruiserweight that Canelo was going to fight. What's his name? The guy who fought Machunu Makabu. Alanga Makabu. I think he's a WBC champion. If I was Joe Opataya, I'd be targeting that one for now, because I think that's the softest opponent, but with the possibility of getting hold of that WBC belt will definitely improve his chances of getting the fights he wants if he's got 2 belts. Yeah, Alanga Makabu WBC. This other guy that I haven't seen fight, how do we say it? Golamarian. Oh, they've got, what's this? Well, the WBA's got a bloody regular title at cruiserweight as well. I thought they were getting rid of this crap. Obviously not. So yeah, this Golamarian guy could be an opportunity, but I don't know who promotes him or anything, because it all matters these days. Maurice Breedis is still listed as the IBF champion, but we know that's not the case. And the WBO champion, of course, is Lawrence Okoli. So, you know, I'm pretty sure Eddie Hearn will be pretty keen to maybe try and get a Lawrence Okoli fight, possibly down in Australia, because they want to launch the zone down there. There's talk of Dempsey McKean and Lucas Brown fighting down here as well in Australia. So, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. But like I said, for the moment, Jai Opetaia is going to be recovering for quite some time. There's other fights out there, of course, as well. Sergey Kovalev, Yoni Dorticus, Bodhi Jack, Chris Billam-Smith, Christoph Glovaki, Murat Gassiev. I thought he was up at heavyweight. They've still got him listed as number 7 in the WBO. That's interesting. Who's that other guy that's with Matchroom? Not Lawrence Okoli, the other one. Who's that? I'll find his name in a minute. Where is it? Shit, Jack Massey's getting up there in the rankings with the IBF. He's up to number 6. Didn't think he'd get to that kind of level, to be honest. Right, where's this name? I'll know it when I see it. I'll flick back over to the chat. Who's that other, the black guy, Phil, with Matchroom, cruiserweight? Oh, Boazzi. Is that the one? No, there's another one. Richard Riakpo. Is he cruiserweight as well? But Boazzi's another option, isn't it? That'd be a very interesting fight. Joshua Boazzi and Jai Opetaia. I like that style matchup. I really do. Yeah, you think Richard Riakpo? Yeah, he could be another option. But you know, having Jai being under the Duco or DL Events banner, it can pretty much cooperate with everybody else. It's not like DAZN and PBC and Queensbury who keep to their own. So it'll be interesting to see where they go. But I don't expect we're going to hear anything for a while because of that busted ass jaw, real busted ass. I mean, Jai couldn't talk at all after the fight. Couldn't bring his mouth shut. They asked him for some comments in the ring, and all he could say was, ah! But what a warrior that boy is, eh? What a warrior. Alright, so moving on to next weekend, we have Kubrat Pulev taking on Derek Warshazora. This is going to be a fun fight. It's the second time around for these guys. Pulev got a somewhat controversial decision last time around. They've both done a fair bit since. Obviously, Derek's done a hell of a lot more. Taken a few more losses at elite level. Pulev has taken a loss to Joshua in a fight where he fought way out of character, tried to fight with bravado, didn't stick to his jab. We saw him stick more to his jab in his recent performance against Jerry Forrest, but only won that on points too, I think. Was it a late stoppage? Let me have a look. Here it comes. What the hell? And we have Unrivaled in the house. How are you, Mark?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you, John?
I'm awesome, bro. I'm awesome. Made some good money over the weekend. Well, not heaps of money, but for the amount of money I put in, I made some good money.
I know you did. You were talking to me about the bets, and I knew they came in for you.
Yeah, no, it was shit. I'm pretty happy. And I'm pretty happy that somebody with the talent and heart, toughness of Jai Opetaia managed to come through that fight with a win. It was close though. Did you enjoy it?
Honestly, like, not enough people are saying it. It's one of the best fights of the year. Easily. It was a phenomenal fight, John. Absolutely phenomenal. I told you, like, I didn't know exactly what level Joy was. But he's definitely going to have to, like, show grit and determination to come through this. But he definitely has the boxing capabilities. It's just we need to see what level it is and if he could keep Breedis off him. He did for the first 6 rounds. He kept them off him. But he had to come through serious attrition. He's got the Samoan chin, Jono. He's definitely got the Samoan chin because he needed that chin because he had no jaw.
Yeah, having it snapped off on both sides was not pretty. It was brutal, but how he got through that 12th round was crazy. That was massive.
His jab served him well throughout the fight. His footwork was very good. He had a huge speed advantage. And I was thinking to myself, right, Breedis isn't able to adjust to the speed, but as this lad slows down, Breedis will be the same pace, you know what I mean? And that proved to be the case. And Breedis was throwing hell for leather, Jono. And he just couldn't get past it. Best case scenario for Breedis in that fight was 6-6. But, like, 7-5, 8-4 is fine for Joy. It was just a beautiful fight. Both guys were busted up. One man had a broken nose and it was pouring out of him the whole fight. The other man had, from the second round, had one side of his jaw fractured. Then in the 11th, the other side of his jaw fractured. I mean, what more do you want? That was world level, world class. Both guys showed why they are both brilliant fighters. Breedis at the age of 37 showed how hungry he was as that fight was going on as well. You know what I mean? He was still hungry to win, Jono. He didn't want to just like get beat up after 6 rounds. He knew he was down. He knew he was down, and he just went for it. He didn't wait. He kept going for it and kept pushing the action. He knew he was getting hurt, and he was hurt early in the fight with that uppercut that broke his nose, you know?
Big time.
So, like, and he was really hurt, and he was like, I'm not letting this kid take this from me. But, fair play to Joy. We have a new world champion, a phenomenal talent, and I don't say this loosely, because I didn't say it with Cambosis, but I'll say it with this lad. Someone Australia can get very excited about. They can get very excited about this guy. They can get excited on this talent. Because he can box, he can move, he's got grit. Jono, we asked the question to each other about how his power would be. He hurt Breedis. He hurt him. He's got power.
It wasn't only that one uppercut that hurt him. He had him hurt a few times in those first 6 rounds, I thought. And, you know, after about 4 to 5 rounds, I was thinking, oh, Breedis might get stopped here. Because he was looking really getting schooled badly. But, what a fight, though, eh? That was the best cruiserweight fight I've seen in just about even ever. It was close to ever the best cruiserweight fight I've seen. I'll be honest. No, it's not ever. Because don't forget, Dennis Lebedev and Guillermo Jones exists. Yeah, I don't know if I've seen it, to be honest.
Watch it, you'll understand.
Okay.
That's the one where Lebedev came out looking like Sloth from the Goonies with the big hematoma.
Oh, yes, I have seen it. That's right. That big ugly thing on his head. Yeah.
And don't forget Usyk and Breedis. And also good. From the same... But hold on. I'm going to up it. The Cruiserweight tournament as well, right? You'll remember this. Unil Dorticus versus Murat Gassiev was an absolute war. Oh, absolute war, John.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, but it's definitely one of the better Cruiserweight fights I've seen, and Cruiserweight puts on some good fights, man. Puts on some barn burners.
Yeah, flies
also,
a lot, eh?
Alunga Makabu and Kudryashov was Cruiserweight as well, and that was an absolute war.
Oh, I've got some fights to watch. Obviously. But,
I know I don't have a channel anymore, but I can shoot out recommendations when I go onto other people's.
Shit hot. And it's recorded, so I can't forget. Awesome. All right.
There we go.
Is there any other fights that you enjoyed this weekend that you want to touch on before we move on to what's next week?
Well, no, there wasn't really anything. Look, I'm just going to say something I've been saying for years. Joe Joyce has some of the worst defense I've ever seen a human being possess. But goddamn, he's fun. He's so fun.
He is.
He's so fun. He's a big 6'6", 260+ pound man who steamrolls juggernauts forward. Has a humongously powerful jab when he decides to use it, as Daniel Dubois found out. But now they've added something else into his arsenal. Inside work, Jono. Inside body work.
Yeah.
He
Juggernaut.
really
Big Juggernaut.
hammered to the big juggernaut. That should be a song. Could you imagine going into an arena and all you hear is big juggernaut, big jukes, big juggernaut, big jukes.
I quite like his song that he comes into that's written for him. Nobody wants a war with big juggernaut, big juggernaut. It's a fucking awesome song for him.
He's a big lad. He's fun. Man, I know not many people are calling for it, but for some strange reason, I really want him and Wilder to have a fight. I really do. I want Wilder to come out retirement, fight him, because with that defense, he's either going to get crushed or he's either going to cremate Wilder. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
It's one or the other. Yeah. And I'm all for it, because that could be just excitement out the wazoo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Big excitement.
Keeping it real with Joe Joyce, he's a problem. Even though he eats punches for breakfast every fight, he's still a problem for anybody. Even Tyson Fury, I think he could still give some hella problems because he just doesn't.
I don't think he's a problem for Usyk. I don't. I think his level of. Yeah. I think the level of his defense, his lack of lateral movement capabilities, it's okay, but Usyk would have him on ice, footwork wise, and Usyk's work rate is too much. Like, as good as Joyce's work rate is, and people saying, oh, he's got the best stamina in the heavyweight division. No, he doesn't. Usyk does. Usyk has the fastest feet. He has the highest work rate. He has the most volume. He is arguably the quickest. There's just nothing Joyce can do to that lad, unfortunately. He'd need a one punch.
Yeah, that's the type of fighter that Joe Joyce hasn't really fought, and well, with the exception of maybe Bryant Jennings, but that's still levels below an Usyk sort of level. But somebody who can move, has quick hands, has a decent chin and a decent punch can definitely give him problems. But you know, the likes of Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, these big guys that hit hard but they're not particularly fast, don't have the best feet. Those kind of guys, I think Joe Joyce has got a real good chance of beating them. And like you say, he's fun. I think he's fun because he's defensively inept, really, but it brings excitement. You never know what's going to happen. At this point, he's just steamrolled everybody. So, yeah, I want to see him in some of these big fights. Unfortunately for him,
I really wanted him to fight your boy.
Yeah,
I really wanted him to. I really, really wanted to see it because it was so interesting. Because Parker's got like the hand speed to give him nightmares and good footwork himself and an alright jab, but at the same point he's got no dog in him, and that's what it is. Joyce doesn't have. They're polar opposites. One man is all dog, determination, work rate, and a big unit. The other's like fast-handed, no dog, and like good footwork. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's when fire meets ice, and it deserves. It should have happened. I'm devastated it hasn't. If the fight can be made, like, and he can't get a world title fight or whatever, I'd love to see him fight Michael Hunter. I'd love to see it.
Who?
If Michael Hunter comes in shape.
Joyce.
Yeah, Joyce.
Yep. I don't know how Michael Hunter's tracking though. He doesn't seem to be fighting like he used to. I mean, last time out, was it Jerry Forrest he got a draw against? He looked like shit. His feet weren't moving. His hands were slow. He looked fat and lazy. So I hope the old Michael
I just don't
Hunter
think he
comes
gave
back.
a crap. I just don't think he gave a crap. But, like, to be honest, against an elite level dude, like, that's what Joyce is. Joyce is a top 10 heavyweight. Make no mistake about it, folks. I know he's got no defense, eats punches for fun. But here's the thing. Maybe his chin gets cracked. Who knows? But it's going to take something to crack it. It is, because Daniel Dubois was hitting that man for hell for leather. Let's not pretend like Joyce put on a masterclass versus Dubois. Joyce was getting absolutely tagged up in that fight.
He was.
To dish out the damage, he had to take a lot. But, like, he came through. And I don't care what anyone says. Yeah, maybe it's not proven or whatever. Daniel Dubois is a 6'5", 240-pound lump who's bulging with muscles and actually has good technique on his right hand. That lad hits hard.
He does.
Make no mistake about it. He definitely does. You can just tell who hits hard and who doesn't. Is Daniel Dubois one of the 5 biggest punchers in the heavyweight division? I wouldn't know. I wouldn't say he is. But he definitely hits hard enough to gain more respect than Joyce gave him.
Yeah.
The only person who's really bothered Joyce throughout his professional tenure was Brian Jennings, and that was to the body.
Yeah. And don't
So
forget,
Joyce will...
he's only 6'3" or something too. He's not a big dude. He's just got long reach.
No.
So
Extremely long reach. That man can hit you with a straight right hand to the body from 60 paces.
yeah. So that fight against Dubois was, like you were saying, Joyce was getting tagged up quite a bit, and he seemed to be starting to respect Dubois, and he had to resort to sticking to the pile driver jab and pretty much nothing else, and it did the job. But I think Joe Joyce was starting to get a bit worried before he busted Daniel Dubois' eye socket in that fight. So
I did too.
yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch of that fight. That could possibly happen now Dubois got a belt. But, you know, I was watching a Sporting Icons video just before. At the moment, Frank Warren's pretty much got the heavyweight division on lockdown. The winner of Usyk Joshua has to fight Daniel Dubois next. Apparently that's already been ordered. So,
I didn't know that's been ordered.
well, I'm just going off what Sporting said on that. But, you know, he was saying that the winner of Zhang and Hrgovic is going to be after that. It's going to be a gauntlet of mandatories, but then Sporting said, and then there's the WBO mandatory and Joe Joyce, but he's not the mandatory yet, so I don't know how much validity's in that, the WBA regular champion being the mandatory for the super title as yet. But
Right, according to Sky Sports, Daniel Dubois is actually the mandatory.
oh,
Okay.
if they're saying it, then it must be true because it's not their fighter.
99 times out of 10. Let me check who wrote the article, because if it's James Dealahan, that's kosher.
Okay.
Right, article was written by... Come on. Why isn't it at the top where it should be?
It's too logical, man.
And yeah, it's James Dealahan.
Okay.
Yeah. Alright, that's kosher.
Yeah.
That's kosher.
So that'll be what's
see,
happening
fel-
next,
you
unless there's a unification.
You see, chat, even if we hear it from someone else on this channel here on Big Boys Boxing, you will hear us live on air, double check to verify. We'll go through that because we always want to make sure.
Don't want to be spreading lies. We ain't promoters over here. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see where Joyce goes for sure. I don't know, maybe that.
I am a promoter. I don't know about you, but I am a promoter. How many people have done as much for flyweight boxing as I have?
Well, there you go. There you go. Speaking of which, there was a minimum weight fight over the weekend that I actually bet on. what was his name? Jason Valadares?
Jason Valadares versus Rene Cuarto.
Yeah. Who actually won that? Because it didn't come through on my bet, and I didn't look because my bet had failed on that one. Did you know?
I actually watched it, but let me have a look at my notes here.
Jason Valadares.
Jason Valadares won.
He did. Okay. Decision win. Cool.
It was a decision win.
Awesome.
And it was a deserved decision win.
Okay. Well, I was looking at their records and I see Valadares had more losses on his record than the other dude, but then I guess the other dude hadn't fought the level of competition. So, yeah, it would have come through if that useless Faris Chevalier or whatever his name had won like he was supposed to, but he didn't.
Who did you bet on in that fight?
I had I hadn't even looked at the records or anything. That Faris Chevalier is what they call him. He was paying $1.14, so I just threw him on to try and bump my odds up, and that was the one that stuffed out.
I was so happy with that, man. Because remember, I was at work, I was gonna join the fight party, I just couldn't. There was too much noise, Jono, and I wouldn't want to just be sitting there muted. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I didn't want to do that to your little party. But when Wallace was fighting against Chevalier, man, I was, mate, you should have, if I was there in your thing, but you would have heard
Irish,
me
isn't he?
scream. I was screaming at the top of my lungs because here's the thing. He's a proper underdog type fighter, right?
Yeah.
I don't big up and go 90 for these Irish guys who are absolutely garbage but get all of this hype. This was a proper underdog who was giving it everything he had. Everything. And I was screaming from the bottom of my heart. Screaming from the bottom of my heart that he gets a fair shake. Because I wasn't scoring, John, but I felt like he was winning. I felt like he was tagging man up. Tagging him up.
He was doing an awesome job, man. He was putting it on that guy, and the commentators were going, "Oh, this classy Chevalier, the counterpuncher. Don't forget him." It's like, nah, man, he's getting schooled, and they ended up giving a split decision to him, to Wallace. I thought it was clear as.
I was heartbroken, when I heard the Chevalier got a card and then they gave it to Wallace, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna do him on the cards. And then when he got it, mate, oh my god, I threw my toolbox all over the room, mate. Took me about 25 minutes to pick up all the screwdrivers.
Nice one. So I think Chevalier actually had a ranking, and Wallace didn't. So Wallace should be into the rankings now too.
Chevalier was 9 with the IBF, and he was ranked in all 4 sanctioning bodies.
Shit hot. So expect to see Conor Wallace a little more. He's a light heavyweight. Australian with
Who knows?
Irish descent. So we'll
who knows? Give it a year or two, we could see an all-Irish classic in Croke Park between Australian-Irish Conor Wallace and Mexican-Irish Canelo Alvarez for the undisputed super middleweight championship. Let's go!
Awesome.
That'd be the craziest thing ever.
It would. Conor Wallace is a
killed.
southpaw too, for those who don't know already. So
yeah, that was interesting. You had a come forward aggressive brawling southpaw versus a slick counter punching southpaw.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think he was that slick.
The key punch for both men was the right hook, by the way. Just want to put that out there.
Yeah. I see in the later rounds, Chevalier did start trying to come forward and be a bit more aggressive. He was having a bit more success, but he didn't have the power to do too much, and it was too late. He needed to do some damage earlier on. And yeah, great job to Wallace.
He was, at the end of the fight, he started swinging from his fucking bollocks, mate.
Yeah. Desperate.
Absolutely. But I was so happy. I was so proud of him, John. I was so proud of Wallace.
Good shit. Good shit.
Because wasn't he like a huge underdog?
Yeah. Yeah, well, like I was saying, Chevalier was paying $1.14. I think Wallace was paying like $3.20 or something. So that's more than 3 to 1. That's a pretty big underdog. So, yeah, it was what it was, and we'll see how he goes moving forward. Joyce stopped the mandatory from winner of Usyk v Joshua. What?
Huh?
Joyce supposed to be the mandatory to the winner of Joshua v Usyk.
Joshua.
No.
Okay, so the situation with that is Frank Warren has continuously been saying Joyce is mandatory with the WBO, but that's not been confirmed. That's not been confirmed by the WBO. That's just Frank Warren who's made that breaking news, and he's claimed he is. Now, we all know it is Warren's boxing organization, or the World Bob organization, depending on which side of the pond you're on. But at the same point, no, we have no confirmation that Joe Joyce is the actual mandatory. And the only person you will have heard say that is Frank Warren.
Yeah.
I remember a few months ago, I thought he was mandatory, and Jono pointed that out to me. And I went and I searched in hours to prove Jono wrong. Fucking hours.
Yeah,
But no,
I'd already
it's
done
only
my
coming-
hours searching before I started saying that. And I did notice
It's only
at the fight on the weekend how they were mentioning the WBO silver or WBC silver belt and WBO international titles. They said nothing with the official announcements about the WBO mandatory or this being
Exactly.
the final eliminator. So that tells me with what's his name, Val Carcel, the WBO official there, they can't say those things over the mic because it's a lie. You only see Frank Warren saying it.
And according to the WBO, no, he's not the mandatory.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say. Frank saying it, but it being confirmed by the sanctioning bodies will have that up on their website for crying out loud.
Yeah.
They normally do.
If that Parker Joyce
no,
fight would have happened, that would have been the final eliminator for the mandatory spot, being number 1 and number 2. So I'm
Exactly.
still holding hope that that fight may get ordered, but because the WBO is last in line at the moment for the titles, I don't expect it to be ordered quick smart, but maybe they'll sort out the mandatory position long before it's due to be ordered anyway. So if that final eliminator gets ordered, it doesn't matter whether one's on one platform and one's on the other. The fight's going to get made or go to purse bid, and we'll get to see
Exactly.
it. So looking forward to it if it does happen, provided neither of them lose on the way.
There we go.
Yeah. Also, next weekend we have Mark Maxayo and Ray Vargas getting it on. Nothing else confirmed on the card, but that's a good fight too. I'll be looking forward to watching that. What are your thoughts on it, Mark?
You have a big puncher Filipino who can't box against a feather-fisted Mexican who can't punch.
Yeah. It's going to go the distance. It'll be interesting. I can't even remember who Mark Maxayo beat to get in that position, but
Mark Maxayo was the world champion. He beat Gary Russell.
that was it. Gary Russell Jr. He wasn't supposed to win that, was he?
No, Gary ended up fucking up his shoulder during the fight. Fought with one arm. But he did knock out Seha to get that fight with Russell. He's a big puncher, Mark Maxayo.
Okay. He was helping be trained by Manny Pacquiao at one stage, wasn't he? Being Filipino and on the world scene, so
Promoted by Manny.
he's promoted by him. Well, there you go. That makes,
Pacquiao Promotions.
yeah. But yeah, I looked up the card earlier, and there's nothing else confirmed on it at this point. Where the hell is it? Mark.
He'll be a filler list.
It's a PBC card, I believe.
It is. They're both PBC fight, but they both fight on PBC predominantly. You see, I'm curious to see how Ray Vargas's movement is overall against Magsayo. He is long, he's kind of rangy, he got a good jab, he got nice footwork, he doesn't hit very hard, but he can box. I am intrigued to see how his footwork is, though, because he did come off a broken leg, and then he's moved up from Super Bantam to 126, and he wasn't considered the most durable 122 pounder in his time, even though he's unbeaten. There are questions on his chin. He has been caught a few times and wobbled. So how does he take a real featherweight hitting him? And that's a big featherweight too. Magsayo's not small.
No, he's big for the weight. So it's a possibility he can knock out Vargas, I guess. But I don't know. These little fellas, I tend to try and stay away from picking a method of victory because you just don't know. I guess the only chance of a knockout will be Magsayo knocking out Vargas in this one. But
well, you never know. I mean, Ray, not known for being a puncher, but he can carry a little bit of pop here and there. And if Magsayo steamrolls onto a full leverage shot, maybe Ray, because he's so tall, like he is 5'10" and a half, making super bantamweight, could have drowned his power. I mean, he hasn't had a knockout since when? I think it's 2016 or something. But that is at super bantam, you know?
yeah.
So we'll see how he looks power-wise against Magsayo. He definitely earned a couple of good wins. He's beaten Tomoki Kameda. He had a 2-year layoff. He came back against Boyaz. He looked good there. But he'll box. He's going to look to stick and move now.
Okay.
That's what you can expect. Stick and move.
Okay, I've just found the PBC schedule, and also on the card they've got Figueroa v Castro. Well, that should be an okay fight too, shouldn't it?
That should be fight of the night. That's a barn burner.
Cool.
High work rate. Both have high work rate.
What weight's that off the top of your head?
That's either 122 or 126.
Okay. Awesome. And they've also got Martin v Nunes. So I'm not sure which Martin that is. He's a brother. They're both.
Is that Frank Martin?
It doesn't say. They're just saying his last name here. Lightweight. Oh yeah, Frank Martin.
Lightweight.
That's it. There it is. Lightweight Frank Martin. That's him.
Yeah, he's considered an elite prospect. He knocked out Romero Duno, who Ryan Garcia knocked out. He knocked him out in 4 rounds. He absolutely dominated him. So he can box and he can punch.
Yeah, he should take care of Nunes. Not too much trouble then, I imagine.
Ricardo Nunes that's the fellow who got laid out by Tank.
Okay. Yep. Well,
one of the many.
Should be fairly straightforward. So the best fight to look out for on the card really should be Figueroa v Castro. That'll be interesting. Yeah. And then the weekend after that, we've got Fortuna and Garcia getting it on. There's a lot of shit talk going on between those two.
Before we skip all the way to the following week, the weekend after, one thing I would like to just mention, is not so next weekend, on the Wednesday afterwards. So I think that's on the 13th. Kazuto Ioka and Donnie Nietes are rematching.
Oh, sweet! I didn't know that was on. That's going to be interesting. Shit hot. Who you got in the second match?
Ioka.
Yeah.
He should have won the first one. Donnie Nietes has been more inactive. He's a lot older now. I'm going with Ioka.
I'll have to go with that too, I think. Do you think he got ripped off the first time around?
I wouldn't say ripped off because it was a close fight and it was a high-level boxing match, but I would say he won.
Okay. Alright, and there was another couple of things I forgot to mention about next weekend. We've got Solomon Dakers is fighting on that Chisora the Pulev card. Can't remember who he's fighting, but I don't think it's going to be too hard for him. And we've also got Fabio Woodley on there, but at present he's fighting the almighty unbeaten TBA. So who knows at this stage who it's going to be. I don't imagine it's going to be anybody too flash if they haven't confirmed the opponent already. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't have a lot of confidence in himself, to be honest, in Fabio Woodley.
Sounds about right.
So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I see the press conference the other day for Joshua v Usyk, the one in London. Both guys talking the talk, pretty much walking the walk. I see a lot of people were saying, "Oh, Usyk won the stare off." It's like, who fucking cares, man? It's a fucking face off. Did you take much from that?
No.
No.
But what I did take is Usyk is definitely more confident this time around than he was the first. That's the only thing I took. Was Joshua's mind seems to be in two places still. And Usyk seems to be very confident and very focused on himself. Joshua is more focused on Usyk than he is on himself, which is probably not the best mentality. Usyk is just completely focused on himself. He doesn't seem to care about what Joshua's going to do. He's just coming in with his best game plan and he's going to work off of it.
Yeah, I see a few people saying that maybe Usyk could be distracted by what's going on in his home country and whatnot. Of course, that's always going to be in the back of his mind, but he's been out of the Ukraine for a long time. He's been away training for ages. And like you say, I think he's fully focused. And with that confidence, he knows he can beat him already. He's going to be dangerous. And, you know, I thought about an early prediction, and I'm still sticking with my same thoughts at present, as I think Usyk's going to stop Joshua later on, because Joshua's going to be trying really hard in the earlier rounds not to get left behind. And that's going to take
I
it out.
feel that too.
Yeah. So, you know, I don't know, it's possible Joshua could do some damage and get Usyk in trouble and win the fight. It's still a great fight. I'm looking forward to it, but I am getting a little bit pissed off with waiting for so long. Like, it's taking too long to get here. But at least we've got a date now. Was it 20th of September? Let's get
Is it?
So,
I thought it was 20th of August.
That's it. Yeah, August 20th. I knew that. Sorry.
I was going to say.
Make us wait longer.
Okay, channel, you scared the shit out of me there an extra month.
Yeah, okay, so I've found this opponent for Solomon Dakers. His name is Kevin Nicholas Espidola. Don't even know the dude. I think I might have heard the name once, 7-4, so that'll be an easy fight for Dakers. They haven't even got an amount of rounds stipulated on BoxRec yet. But still TBA for
Who?
Solomon Dakers taking on
His face.
Kevin Nicholas Espidola. Espindola.
Espindola.
Yeah, I have a quick look at him. 7-4.
Yeah,
Where's he from? Argentinian.
Oh, he just went the distance with Deutschko.
Really?
He hasn't fought anyone else, but he took
Oh,
Deutschko
shit,
the
he
distance there. I
Wow,
heard about that.
that's a hard thing to do.
He's never been stopped.
Oh, I might have to do a bit of looking up on this dude. Is he just a punch
He's
bag? Or
probably
can he fight
just
a
got
bit?
one of those art. It seems like he's a punch bag, mate. He's losing to everybody.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of L's on there. There's a few L's there, but... Okay.
So he's probably just a punch bag who you just can't get rid of. Huge chin.
Yeah. Ivan Dutchko's a big unit. Was he 6'9"? He hits like
He hits like a mutant too.
So that wouldn't have been easy to stay in there over 10 rounds with Dutchko. Shit. All good. Alright, so I think that's about us for today. Unless there's anything else you wanted to touch on, Mark?
No, it's been a pleasure, Jono. Have a good one, mate. God bless you.
Alright, man. Thanks for dropping in. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care.
You too, bro. And thanks to everyone else in the chat for dropping in. Kim Worrell, Phil Carl Roberts. Saw someone else here as well. How do we say this? Delo 404 boxing. Delo 404 boxing. Good to see you, man. I have to check your channel out. Sweet, and that's us for today. Hope y'all have enjoyed. Be sure to get over to the Big Boys Boxing Discord server. The link is in the description. You can catch up on boxing news there, catch live stream fights, fight parties. We have a prediction league. We have plenty of things you can do over there, so get over and check us out. And we'll catch you all next time. Take it easy. Peace. So that's us for today. I hope you have enjoyed. You can show your appreciation with a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Be sure to check out our Discord community where you can find boxing news, fight links, live streamed fights and much more. So look after yourself and your family. I'm Jono from Big Boys Boxing and I'm out. See you!